Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you guys have a really good time. So just to introduce myself, my name's Terry. If you don't already know, you probably might. But I run a business called Clever Fox Creative. We're web designers, and we are hosting a webinar for free once a month. And it's an awesome opportunity for me to collaborate with some of my favorite people to ever exist, which introduces me to Holly. Hello, Holly. How's it going?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited
Good,
to hear
good.
you speak all your wisdom and
Oh,
teach me
thank you.
stuff.
Very
Because
excited to be here.
awesome. So, just in case anyone doesn't know, well, one, actually, first off, at the bottom of the screen, there will be a little chat button. Make sure you hit onto that and introduce yourself. Let us know who you are and if you have a business, what business you're with. You never know who else might be in the room that might want to connect with you at some point. And then there's also a little Q&A button down there as well. And throughout the process of today, we're going to be stopping and doing a couple of questions and answers. So make sure that regardless of when it is, make sure you pop your questions in when they're at the top of your head so that we can make sure that we talk about them and get those questions answered, and we can have more of a discussion and things like that as well. And yeah, introducing Holly Latham. So Holly runs an incredible business called Creative Copy Co. She is a copywriter and absolute word guru. She does all of my own blogs, and she's an incredible writer. So I'm super excited for today. It's going to be freaking awesome. So get yourself ready, strap in. And the process of today is really for any business that might want to improve their regular content, making sure that they're providing value to the people that they're doing business with. And also, I don't know why I wrote offer manager, but office managers who might be responsible for the business communications and writing might not be a strong suit. It's not a strong suit for a lot of people, but there's some really easy ways that you can make sure that your content's really good, which Holly's going to talk through. And then marketing managers as well, who might want to just improve on what they're already really good at. So that's what we're going to cover off. And like I said, make sure you ask questions. There is literally no dumb questions. We're a safe space here. So please ask anything you have to ask throughout the whole thing. And yeah, we can just have more of a chat through and things like that as well. And love to hear your feedback as we're talking as well. So, and with that, I'm going to hand over to Miss Holly to start teaching us some cool stuff.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much for having me, everyone, today. Today, I want to talk to you about how to write an awesome blog post in 5 simple steps that people actually really want to read. So let's start at the beginning. Is blog writing really that important to your business success? The answer is yes, absolutely. What's the reason why? Because this image is fantastic. It shows you that when people first find your business, they're strangers. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you're about. So by writing blogs regularly with specific keywords that are going to attract the right people to your business, your target audience, they then become visitors who convert into leads, who then become customers and then eventually become champions of your business and your brand. So you can see from the image that there's a whole lot of other types of content that you do through the customer journey. But why blog writing is so important is because it's that very first step in the journey. So to really get yourself on the strongest footing possible, it's really great to have regular, exciting content that is going to attract the people that you want to see in your business. And so blog writing is one of your most important marketing tools. And it's basically going why, what I've just talked about, because blog writing is about brand awareness, building trust, and taking your target audience on a journey with informative and engaging writing, but it doesn't have the hard sell of copywriting. So what do I mean by that? So with copywriting, it's very sales orientated, and it's a direct action focused response that you're looking for. So when you put your call to action in copywriting, it's something that you want people to do immediately. Things like a download now button or buy it now, sign up to our free ebook, that sort of thing. Whereas blogging, you have soft calls to action. So it's more like For more information, shoot us an email and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So it doesn't have that hard sell. So before we start talking about blog structures, let's have a closer look at some rules which apply to any piece of content that you create in your business. So the first rule is be specific. So what you want to do is you need to understand who you're targeting. So who are the people that your business is looking to bring in? Because you need to speak directly to those people. It's, you can't just throw the net far and wide and hope that, in amongst everything else, in amongst all the other noise that people get every day, that they're going to find you. So you need to be specific about who you're targeting and why you want them. Once you've got that clear in your head, it's much easier. So the next thing is what's in it for me. So this is at the center of everyone's lives, basically, no matter what we think. So what's in it for me? Why should they read what you're putting out? What value are you offering them? And so basically you need to make that very specific. It's all about your customers and your customers' problems. It's not about you and you selling. You're obviously selling your business, but it's very customer focused. It's not inwards focused. So number 3, always talk about the benefits, not features of the product or service that your business offers. And this umbrella picture is a great example, because people don't care whether it's water resistant, it's lightweight, and it's got a wood handle. All people care about is the benefits, that it keeps you dry when it rains. So you've got to make sure that, yes, features are important and you do need to talk about them a little bit, but really hone in on those benefits that those features provide to people. So number 4, overcome objections. So you might be selling a product or service, and the first objection that generally most people would have with anything is, how much does it cost? Which is the number 1 objection. And so what you need to do in your content that you write is overcome those objections. And this is where social proof, so things like case studies, testimonials, Google reviews, are fantastic to put in your content to show that, okay, this may not be the cheapest product or service, but we offer this. If it's another objection, so it's the same sort of thing. It's overcoming, thinking of every single objection that your potential customer could have to engaging with your business, buying your product, buying your service, and then writing content that explains why that's actually not a problem for them. Connect emotionally. This is super important because people buy generally with their hearts, not logic. So what you want to do is you really want to connect emotionally with someone and make them think, that is me. I have to have that. I need to do this right now because my life will be so much better with this. And as funny as that sounds, copywriting and content writing is a mixture of art, science, and psychology. So it really is honing in on that emotional side. So calls to action, you always have to have a call to action no matter what it is. So like I said, blog writing that we're talking about today is a soft sell. It's not the hard download it, read more, buy it now, book it now, that sort of thing. It's much more of a softer sell, which is, give us a shout, give us a call, flick us an email, whatever you'd like to do at the end of your blog. But it is still a call to action because you're still asking people to do something. And without a call to action, it's useless, basically. So next is, and last, is you need to have incredible headlines. So I don't know whether you know, but people have an attention span shorter than goldfish, which is actually only about 8 seconds. So you have 8 seconds to get someone's attention. So if you don't have a fantastic headline that gets them in straight away, they're not going to keep reading. And then all your hard work is for nothing. So it's about having an amazing headline that gets your readers sucked in and they want to know more. Your next line, which would be your introduction, needs to get them sucked in even more. So the aim the whole way through is to just keep them going. And by storytelling, you're taking them on a journey and they want to know the answer because you're addressing their pain points, their problems, and you're giving them the solution. So it's taking them on a story. Here's the problem. This is what we're doing to fix it. So you need to have that really, really strong headline to start with, which is going to get you off on the right foot. So now let's get to the exciting stuff, which is how to write an awesome blog post using 5 simple steps. So the first step is you need to plan. So this probably sounds really obvious, but I know that when I first started copywriting, you think, oh, I don't need to plan my blog post. I'll just write it on the fly. But it's actually going to save you bucket loads of time by planning first. So what do I mean by planning? So planning is when you think of what you're going to write about and you pick your topic, which again sounds really obvious, but you might think, oh, I want to write about blog posting. Okay, fantastic. But you need to actually break that down more and think, what is it that I want to write about blog posting? How can I help people with blog posting? So that's when you start thinking about, okay, I want to write a blog post about how to write a blog post, that sort of thing. So then what you want to do is you want to create an outline of your blog post. So this helps you as well, just to get clear in your head of the steps that you're going to take and how you're going to get everything down. So it could be something like, you might have point 1 is planning a blog post. And this will be things like doing research, creating an outline, that sort of thing. Step 2 might be about the writing, how you go about writing a great blog post. Step 3 might be how to edit and make it better. And then step 4 might be about optimizing images, making sure you've got the right keywords in there, that sort of stuff. So it's all this pre-planning stuff first. So you're getting it all clear in your head and you've got a real action plan before you actually start trying to do the writing. So another really important point here is to do keyword research. So keywords, if you're not sure what that is, so keywords are the words or phrases that you use in the content that you create, so in your blog post, that relate directly to your target audience. So you really need to start thinking about, what are my customers looking for? What are their problems? So here's a really hot tip for you. One thing that is really, really helpful is go onto the Google search bar and start typing in, if you want to write a blog post about how to write a blog post, you would literally type in a question, how to write a blog post. How do I write a blog post? And so this will start bringing up all the different suggestions that you get, when you search for something on Google and there's all these related topics that come up. And so then you can start having a look through, what are other people asking? What are the ones that come up really high in Google, the companies that are writing blog posts or bloggers themselves, whoever, what are they talking about? What are the words and phrases that they're using? And so that will give you a really good grounding of where you should be going. Another great tip is there's an app called Keywords Everywhere, which is absolutely brilliant. You do have to pay for some content for some of the research or information that it gives you, but it's actually really quite cheap. It's a really great tool and I use it all the time and it is fantastic. It gives you all sorts of different ideas of what you can use for keywords, phrases, and it also shows you what your competitors are doing, which is brilliant. The other thing that you probably want to do in this section is you need to check your facts. So particularly if you're using statistics, you need to make sure that you have your facts right, because there is nothing worse than being pulled up or being told that no, that's actually not correct, and you've published it and it's gone out into the ether of the World Wide Web. So make sure you've got all your facts right. And if you do have to do any research about anything, this is when you do it, in this planning stage now. So that when we come to step 2, which is crafting, now you want to craft your headline. And obviously that's the really, really key component of your blog. This is by far the most important step. So how do you go about crafting a headline? So there are loads of different formulas that copywriters use, but some great ones are ask a question of your audience, particularly when you know because you're obviously writing to your target audience. You use those keywords that they're looking for, that they're going to put in that Google search bar. You use those keywords. Ask them a question. Because if you know that the answer is going to be yes, that they're going to say, oh, that's me. That is absolutely me. Then that straight away is going to make them click and want to know more about what you're writing. So asking them a question is a great one. I use it a lot. Another one, which is a great one, is a list or a number. So again, if you're writing something about how to write a blog, you might do the top 10 tips for writing a successful, luckily I don't write for a living, successful blog. Or you might do 7 simple reasons why your business needs to blog, something like that. So there are all sorts of formulas, but yeah, they're just a couple that are really, really good to know. And if you do want to have a chat about the different formulas or anything, just let me know, because there is, that's a whole other topic of writing headlines. So next we get into the writing part, which for me is the most exciting part. So what you want to do here is remember, you're writing for people, you're not writing for search engines. Yes, obviously you want to be found on Google or Yahoo, Bing, whatever it is, but always write for people. Lots of people made the mistake a while ago. Well, it was actually Google used to rank blogs being written on how much content there was and basically how many keywords were in it. So if you stuffed a whole blog with keywords, and even if it didn't particularly make sense, it would still rank really highly on Google, because that's how they ranked. Whereas now Google's changed, and so Google now checks the content, the value that you're providing your clients with, that you're actually giving them really valuable information. Yes, it needs to have keywords, but don't stuff them in everywhere. You actually need to think about how you're writing and making sure that it all makes sense and it's informative, it's engaging, people want to interact with you, all that sort of stuff. Also, what you want to do when you write is you want to break up your paragraphs, keep your sentences really short. The shorter the better. Just make it really clear, concise, to the point. Yes, absolutely use humor, but don't go in for long-winded sentences. If your sentence is over 20 words, it's too long and you need to take something out. Just think about how you can reword it. And then keep your paragraphs quite short as well, and break them up. Have images in there as well, which helps break up the text and makes it much easier. Most people skim read. They don't actually sit there and read properly. So if you can give them some visuals to break up the text, it makes it much easier for people to read. Keep your language really simple. I always use the acronym KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Write as if you're writing for an 8th grader, basically. Any higher than that, and people just won't get it. So keep your language really simple. And also, it's important now to start thinking about what fonts you're going to use. Make sure they're really easily readable fonts. Think about the images that you're going to use. Make sure that they're relevant to the post that you're blogging about. Don't just include some random pictures because they might look pretty, but if they've got no relevance to what you're writing about, then they're not worth having in there. So number 4, oops, you can't read that, but so now we want to actually improve. So you've written your post, and don't get me wrong, it's probably going to take, if it's your first blog post or you've only ever done a few, it probably is going to take you 2, 3, 4 hours. It might even take you a week on and off, doing bits at a time. But another top tip is when you do sit down to write, do a 2-hour block. Just put aside 2 hours. That is the optimum time for writing, to be able to get it to flow. And if you've done all your pre-planning, you know what you're writing about. So it's just sitting down and getting it out. But yeah, 2-hour block, then go away, have a break, even if you leave it until the next day, the day after, whatever, and then come back. So then you want to improve on what you've written. Never post it or publish it the day that you write it, is my big tip, because you look back at it and you think, oh, no, that doesn't quite sound right. You can reword things. What really helps me is actually reading it out aloud, because then you can get the flow of how it's reading. You can make sure you've got your punctuation in the right places, because you can't have sentences, obviously, with no punctuation. If you can't read it and take a breath, again, your sentences are too long, or it just needs to be reworked. So there is always room for improvement. So that's step 4. And step 5, oh, I can't see that either. Step 5 is editing. So this is where you look at things like, you know, have you got your punctuation correct? Is your spelling correct? Which is massive. And again, it sounds really, really obvious, but so many people send out blog posts, publish blog posts. They've got spelling mistakes, they've got grammatical mistakes, there are punctuation mistakes. And if you know what you're looking at, you know, particularly if it was a blog about writing a blog, for me, that would stand out like a sore thumb. And then you lose any credibility that you've just spent so long and, so, you know, you've worked so hard to build up. So don't let that happen. Check, double check, triple check. And then when you think you've done it enough, give it to someone else and let them look at it as well. And they'll be able to see things that you probably can't see, because by this stage, you're so into what you're writing that you then can't really look at it, because your mind naturally starts skipping along because you know what's coming next. So you need someone that's actually going to sit there and really carefully check every single thing. So that's a great tip. So now, how do you put all these little 5 pieces together to create one awesome blog post? So here's the anatomy of a blog post. And I've done this little infographic, and I know that's really hard to read, but I can definitely more than happy to send that out after the webinar. But what I've done in the meantime is broken it down. So obviously the first thing that you want to do is create an awesome headline, because again, your headline is the first thing that people read. So don't let it be boring. It has to be interesting. It has to engage them from that very first second. And if they're interested in what you're talking about in your headline, they'll keep reading. It's as simple as that. Have a catchy picture. Don't underestimate the value of images. And another great thing is you can actually then optimize those images for SEO. So that helps with your visibility as well. And I'm not going to go into any great depth about how to do that, because SEO is another massive topic that's, you know, all on its own. But one thing to be really, really careful of is always make sure that you check the copyright of your images. Don't start using, you know, anything that's copyrighted. If you need to, there are some great websites out there that, you know, have stock photos. Some are free, some have, you know, you can buy 50 credits for $10, something like that, and you can download so many photos. So you can use stock images if you have to, if you don't have photography available. Just make sure that nothing is copyrighted, because you don't want that coming back on you. So your subheading and your introduction. So here's another chance for you to hook your reader. So what you want to do is have a clear, concise, punchy intro that gets straight to the point. We understand your problem. We've got the solution. Here's how we can help. But make it obviously really interesting and engaging, because that way they're going to want to keep reading, because they want to know that story of the solution that you have for their problem. So now you lead in to your main points. So you don't want to just have something like, you know, your introduction. Here's how to write an awesome blog post in 5 simple steps. And then you go straight into your main points. So what you want to do is have even just one sentence. So if you're doing a list style blog, which could be a bullet point list, it could be a numbered list. So say again, for the how to write an awesome blog post in 5 simple steps, you might have writing a blog post can be really difficult. We understand because we've been there. So we want to share some hot tips with you on how you can write an awesome blog post in 5 simple steps. And then you go into your main points. So your main points, here's your chance to tell your reader your points. But remember, always write for your audience and target your audience. Don't write for search engines. Don't stuff those keywords everywhere that you've used. Make sure you place them really strategically throughout your content. And then break up the text with subheadings and images, which makes it really much easier for your readers to read your content. And so things like if you list blogs are really good because they do naturally break up the content and it makes it very quick and easy. If someone just wants to skim read it and thinks, I'll just skim it now, see if it's of interest, and if not, I'll leave it. If it is, I'll read it later. So if you can make your main points really stand out really easily, that's a win. And so again, use some more images, which obviously you can optimize as well for SEO. So everything that you include can help with SEO, your keywords, your images. And if you include backlinks to other blogs that you've done, you can backlink it to your website. That all helps with SEO visibility. So your conclusion. So remember, it's not an essay that you're writing, so don't reiterate all your main points. But what you want to do is you want to just give a nice summary, couple of sentences, which just wraps everything up nicely for your reader and doesn't leave them hanging, thinking, where's the end of the story? I've kind of got to the end, but there's nothing to show me that I'm at the finish. So just wrap everything up so that they understand. And then the comments and sharing section. So this is a great way to build your community. So make sure you leave a line at the end of your blog to engage people. So what you can do, something that I do quite often, is if you're writing about a topic, ask your readers, what top tips have you got? What advice have you got that I haven't shared, that I may not know? And I'd love to hear it. And that's a great way to start engaging people and getting them to comment. And the more that they comment, they feel like they trust you, they get to know you better, which obviously all helps on that customer journey, because that's ultimately where we're going. So words have incredible power. So you need to make sure you choose the right ones, because choosing the right ones is so important to your business success. So hopefully that makes a little more sense. And I know I have gone quite fast, very sorry, but hit me up with any questions you've got, because I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
That was awesome. Thanks, Holly. Yeah, please, people, if you have any questions around any part of it, pop it in either the Q&A section of the down the bottom, little figgy whatever, or the chat as well. You can feel free to pop it straight in the chat. I do have a couple of questions to ask you already. So if someone, say, is struggling for, I've just got someone pop one in anonymously. If someone's struggling for topics, do you have any advice on how to come up with topics for your own business?
There are some really great things. So if you've got, so think about what your business does as a start. But what you can do is, so what I do with my business sometimes is, because I think, no one wants to hear about writing all the time. So then I actually start thinking about what else is, a hot topic at the moment. Obviously, work-life balance is a huge one. So I wrote one for my own business a few months ago, and it was basically, are you running a business and you're crazy busy and don't know where to turn? Here's our top 7 tips for staying sane. So just things like that, you can actually spin it around for different ways. There's all sorts of, if you actually Google search again, blog topic creators, there's all sorts of apps that can help you. But yeah, your own story is always a great one. You can repurpose content. Don't just rehash it and repost it, but you can repurpose things loads of times. Put photos up and videos of any updates that you've happened. If you've got a new product, if you're offering a new service, if you say you're a beauty therapist and you're offering a new package deal, that sort of stuff. Just, yeah, it doesn't have to be just on, oh, I've got to do this. There's lots of ideas that you can get.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, I guess. It's like trying to figure out what things your audience cares about that you also know something about. Doesn't necessarily need to be a service, right? Like we have a lot of blogs specifically about like running ethical businesses, for example, right? And that's just business related. It's not necessarily web design related. So
exactly, it doesn't have to be specific to your business. It can just be generally business related, because just think of something that you think your audience are going to be interested in and want to read about, and go from there.
Yeah. How do you feel about like guest blogging and stuff like that? Like getting someone to write a blog for you and you write a blog for them kind of thing?
I think that's brilliant, because it obviously adds value to both businesses by doing that. And it also helps enormously because you both get backlinks to your websites.
True, yeah.
So again, like from an SEO point of view, massively important. But I mean, obviously you add value to each other's businesses, which is brilliant.
Yeah, get access to each other's audiences and stuff as well.
Exactly.
Someone did ask anonymously, can you explain the benefits and features a little bit more?
Yeah. So features are things like, so I'll go back to the umbrella. So it's got a wood handle. It's made of, I don't know, vinyl. The shade is vinyl. It's, made in China. They're the features of it. But the benefits are that it's going to keep you dry when it rains. So people don't want to necessarily know about the features. I could say to people, I'm a copywriter. So I write blogs, I write newsletters, I write flyers. And they say, okay, great. But they don't actually care about that. What the benefits of what I do is I can save you time, I can save you money, and I can save you a whole bunch of stress by doing this writing for you. And then you don't have to worry about it. So they're the benefits of what I provide to clients. It's not about the features, because people generally don't care about the features. They just want to know. It goes back to that what's in it for me thing. Talk about what you're providing to people and why it's going to make their life better, easier, simpler, more fulfilling, whatever. That's what you want to focus on, not the features of it.
Yeah, you're like talking to what their problems are and what their desires are to have solved and how that kind of works, rather than because everyone, I guess it's like, I always say this, I don't know where I got it from, but oh shit, just slipped out of my brain. So we had a Christmas party yesterday, so I'm a little bit shady.
That's all right. So basically what you want to do is you want to figure out, everyone's got problems that they want solved, right?
Yeah.
So you're basically going in as a business saying, I have got the solution to your problem. Whatever that problem is, I've got the solution for it. And so what you want to do is you really want to ask yourself to start with, okay, what is their problem? Okay, my business is a copywriting business, but my clients' problems are the fact that they don't have the time, they don't have the knowledge to write, to be able to write, or they just hate writing. And so they want someone else to be able to do it for them. And so it's really pushing on those pain points, pushing on your target audience's pain points and saying, I get that you can't do this for whatever reason, or you need help with this. I've got the solution to be able to do that.
I've just thought of what I was going to say, is that everyone really sells the same thing. So like everyone in your industry, all your competitors, you're all selling the same thing. You're not selling, you're selling a different experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you write, you've got to keep in mind, so customers are basically going to buy from you, from any business really, that they trust. That's the biggest thing. So this is why blog writing is so important and social media posting is so important, because it's all about building that credibility, building a relationship and building trust. So once you've got that with the audience, that is when they're likely to then take that next step and convert into a lead or a customer. And that's not something that's going to probably happen overnight. You've got to keep in mind that blogging is a journey. You can write one blog, but don't expect to get 35 customers out of it the next day, because that just generally doesn't happen. It might do, but it may not. So what you want to do is you want to keep in mind that it's about how you're making people feel, like just, and it goes back to that connecting emotionally with people. It's about how you're making them feel inside, and just creating that relationship with them, that they get to the point where they go, I really like who this brand is, what they're about, they're speaking to me. And that's when you know that you've got the right content.
Awesome, totally. I've had someone else ask of some tips or ways to research.
Yeah, so again, Google is my best friend, to be honest, apart from Terry, of course. But yeah, Google is amazing. So whatever you're writing about, I mean, no one knows everything about everything. Obviously, you know your business really well, but if you're writing something, I mean, me as a copywriter, I write for loads of different businesses across a lot of different industries. So I have to do a load of research. So if Terry comes to me and says, we need a blog written about, how to have a great user experience on your website, I don't necessarily know about that. So you literally start typing in to your Google search bar, what makes a great user experience on a website, and just start reading as much as you can, but don't spend hours and hours and hours, because then you're just wasting time. So you want to, find a few reputable articles and have a look at them. My big tip here is don't rely solely on Wikipedia. Wikipedia doesn't know everything. So don't just always go to Wikipedia and think that is the end truth. It is not. So yeah, find a few reputable articles, read as much as you can give yourself an hour and a half, and then just jot down some points as you're reading things. Go, oh, that's relevant. Yep, that's great. Need to include that. So yeah, absolutely. Google is my first point of reference every time.
Yeah, awesome. And also, I think it's important to try and remember what people ask you about, when you're running your business and stuff like that. What are the questions that people are generally asking you as well, right? Because that could be, because ultimately with the shippers, sorry, just clicking away at things. Ultimately, what you want to be doing is educating people and helping people and providing value and stuff. So you can answer some of these things to people. That's a pretty good idea.
Absolutely. If you're being asked the same question 5 times a day, absolutely write a blog post about it, because that's obviously what the people who are searching for you want to know. So, say you're an air conditioning company, for example, and you might be asked every day, what's the difference between a reverse cycle air conditioner or an evaporative air conditioner? And so that's a great blog post topic. Because maybe people don't understand what those differences are. And so there's a great blog post topic, and you're providing value to your potential customers because you're answering the questions that they want to know.
Yeah, totally. This is not a serious question that's in the chat right now, but Bob Gloyne asked, should I have a blog about responsible drinking? I think I could be good at it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been talking from personal experience though, Bob, sorry.
No.
And John also, again, this isn't a question necessarily. John's with the SA Bridge Association, so he said, years ago I learned a simple tip of turning a feature into a benefit, which is by using the words which means that. So this is an umbrella, which means that you can stay dry in the rain. That's pretty good.
Perfect. I use that all the time in my writing. It is literally that. We offer this, which means that. So it is your feature, which means that the benefit. Yeah, that is brilliant.
Good stuff, John. So I'm just trying to figure out how to bloody scroll on this thing. I'll ask another question. I'll figure that out while you're answering. Do you have any tools for proofreading and trying to do that well? Yes.
So Grammarly is amazing. You can get a free version of Grammarly, which is Grammarly. So it spell checks, it grammar checks, it checks the clarity. And what you can actually do in Grammarly is when you write a blog post, you can actually say what tone you want it in. So whether you want it friendly, conversational, business-like, professional, or I think the other one is expert, something like that. And so you can pick how you want it to read, and then it goes through and it checks for clarity, and it might come back and give you a bit of a suggestion, say, oh, not quite sure about this. It also, when you go to a paid version, can also check for plagiarism, which is obviously a massive thing. I obviously have to check everything that I write to make sure I'm not plagiarizing someone else. And it's obviously also a great tip for business owners. If you think, I know sometimes I write something and think, wow, that is incredible. Well done, Holly. And I'm thinking, hang on, that is so amazing that someone must have written that somewhere else. And so that's why Grammarly is awesome, that you can actually check that you're not plagiarizing someone else's work.
That is really good. I didn't actually realize Grammarly does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing as well. It's like being extremely good at proofreading is very rare, honestly, especially if you've been out of school for so long. So yeah, it's good that there's all of these helpful tools and stuff for those things as well, because it also picks up your punctuation and stuff like that as well, right?
It does, yeah. So if you've got a hard to read sentence as well, it actually picks up it's hard to read. You're using the word "and" too many times, or you've got too many wordy words, if that makes sense. You've got "and," "at," "the," that sort of stuff.
Tells you, it tells you that it's sentences.
Yeah, break up the sentences, or it gives you suggestions. So it's really helpful. So that is on a paid version, I think, but the free version is still fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. And I do have another question from John. It's nice to see people that I know on here. It's awesome. And also the people that I don't know, it's also awesome to have you guys on here. Okay, so John has asked, does what you say about blogging also apply to writing website content?
So yes, it does, absolutely. The only thing with website content is that you're doing more of the hard sell. It is very action focused. Website copy is very action focused. You want someone to click immediately. You want someone to click on that contact us button. You want someone to download your ebook, to sign up to your newsletter. But all the same principles apply.
Yeah, totally. I guess there's more intention behind the website as well. Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
So, website copywriting is really about the sales side of writing, whereas blog writing is more, it's still storytelling. Both of them are storytelling. Whereas one is more sales focused than the other. One is about an experience and taking on your customers on a journey.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and then lastly, Emma, please, if anyone has any more questions, pop it into the chat. But I was just going to ask you a little bit about what are your feelings around the use of jargon, so industry specific language and things like readability and stuff like that. What are your kind of thoughts around that?
I always say don't use it. If it's it depends. I guess it depends on who your target audience is. And if you've got, I don't know, if you're a scientist and you're writing an article, or you're writing a blog that is targeting other scientists, you could use industry specific jargon that normal people wouldn't understand. But my general advice is don't use it. You want to keep it really simple so that anyone who reads that blog can completely understand what it is that you're talking about, where you're coming from, because you don't want to start alienating people and go, the next time you put something out, they think, oh no, that's too hard, I can't understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about accessibility, right? And a lot of people, it's you did say it earlier as well, the 8th grade reading.
Keep it at about an 8th grade. You want to write, so basically, rather than 8th grade, let's say write for an 11 or 12-year-old. That sort of language. Keep it simple, just make it really easy to understand. Just like Terry said, make it accessible, because you've got to remember that, particularly some industries, you might be dealing with people that may have an intellectual disability. So don't make things harder for them to understand. Just make it really easy for people to know where you're coming from.
Everyone's coming from different literacy levels and stuff like that, so it's important to remember that. So amazing. All right, that was wicked. Thank you, Holly. Please feel free to reach out to me or Holly if anyone has any questions. And thank you for sharing with that one-page thing as well. I'll send that through to everyone so that you guys can have more of a think about how you're going to structure your blogs and stuff like that. And if you do implement the steps, you have to share your blog with us so we can have a bit of a read through and stuff.
Absolutely. I'd love to read them. I'd love to read them. And if anyone does want to get in touch at all, if you go onto my website, there's actually a 30-minute discovery session or a strategy session. So if you do want to have a chat, please feel free to book in a 30-minute free call with me. I would love to have a chat and help you out and share some more tips and tricks and that sort of stuff.
You're just the best. Just the best. Anyway, I'm grateful for you coming on. You're amazing. And I just want to thank anyone that decided to donate as a part of registering to the webinar today as well. So through all the webinars, we've been donated to Skylight, which is a mental health non-for-profit in Adelaide, and they help individuals and families to support them through getting help and advice and all that kind of stuff. So it's really nice that everyone's decided to donate. It's been awesome. And again, so please hop on Holly's website. It's a really good website. Speaking myself.
Very designed it. Awesome.
It's got heaps of valuable information on there as well. And of course, you can reach out to Holly and you can reach out to me and we can have more of a chat. And I hope everyone enjoyed today and got as much out of it as what I did. I could hear you talk about blogging all day. So thanks so much, Holly, for coming along. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on for the last one for the year.
That is more than all right. It's a good way of ending the year, I reckon. And now everyone's going to take a little bit of a break so you can get your blogging, get your typing going, write some blogs in the break and stuff like that as well. So it's a good opportunity to start thinking about it. I guess with that, we'll leave it there. Have an amazing Christmas, everyone, as well, and an amazing New Year's. And make sure you keep up to date with what we're up to next year, and we'll keep doing awesome collaborations like this with awesome people. So that's that. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, everyone, for coming.